Welcome back to 20 minutes of Bristol City chat. Liam says this week you have death, we have taxes, and Bristol City crap in the bed at the thought of sixth place. It is tedious. We are, of course, reviewing the Swansea game. Coming up this week, we have claims that Zak Vyner and Roberts should be dropped. People are sick of them. What are your thoughts on that? Liam and Ben are give their final thoughts on the window or lack of it. We are, of course, putting together our worst ever Bristol City 11. This week, we're having a look at that 11, which we have put together. Here it is. Do you agree with it? We'll come back to that at the end of the video, and we're appointing a manager as well. Finally, it's Valentine's week, and we're asking Liam and Ben just how did they fall in love with the Robins, although they're probably wishing they never did following that Swansea result. Thank you very much, of course, for being with us. This is Where Robins Walk. It's the quick review of all things Bristol City. Liam, let's start with you, shall we? Where did it all go wrong against Swansea?
Second half. Admittedly, first half we had the better opportunities. Don't think we created much from open play. It was all from set pieces and corners. Could have had a couple of goals if one for the Swansea keeper. Sorry, my phone just fallen over.
That's all right.
Swansea goalkeeper having a game of his life in the first half. And then we just let them into it and capitulated a bit in the second. But in the end, we're lucky it was only one. Max had to make a couple of good saves, or at least one good save. But the goal was a shamble in itself that they scored. Absolute diabolical defending and goalkeeping as well.
Yeah, and you had the chance to. I think if you'd have won 2-0, Ben, you'd have got into 6. And psychologically, that's just sends a message, doesn't it, to the rest of the championship? And every time you get this opportunity, you fluff your lines. What is it? What is it about this team?
I don't know anymore. It's so frustrating. I mean, we put ourselves in a very good position, like you said. You know, we can get into the playoffs with a win. The form, everything suggesting that we're going to get the win with how poor their form has been, but just didn't seem to deliver today. Just didn't take our chances. Didn't struggled in plays in the second half. Their keeper had a very good game, to be fair to him, but I don't know what it is. It's just we just don't seem to maybe handle the pressure. That could be it, of kind of just getting it over the line and really winning the really important games.
Let's have a look at some social media takes, and drop us a like if you agree with any of the things you're about to see on this screen. George House says, Earthy has to be up there with one of the worst loan signings we've had, and there's been some shockers. Vyner and Roberts are becoming a consistent painful watch. More on Vyner as well here. What's the danger in giving Morrison a chance whilst Prings is out? What's Roberts done to serve a start? And we'll come on to that in a second. So let's talk about Vyner and Roberts, shall we? Liam, people are saying they need to be dropped. I think it might be a bit drastic for that. But what's your thoughts on it? Vyner hasn't been great for a couple of months, has he?
Yeah, he's had. It seems this season he's gone backwards for my liking. He just seems to. He had a really good season last year, and this year he just doesn't seem to be playing at the same level. He just woeful in possession. Probably the worst I've seen for quite a while. I've been saying it for weeks that him and Dickey, between the pair of them, they've been really poor this year. As for Roberts, I'm not sure where all the slander comes from for Roberts. I don't personally. I think if we're playing a 3 at the back, he's not a wing back. You can definitely see that. For me, his best position is left centre half. If we are playing a 3, left of a 3 would be ideal for him. But it's just unlucky the fact that it is McNally, Dickey and Vyner in front of him in those positions. You can see he's not comfortable as a wing back. He hasn't got the pace. He's caught out of position quite a few times, sometimes as well. People blame him for the goal today, which I don't personally agree with. I don't think it's his fault at all. But yeah, I think if it was me, I'd be adopting a 4 at the back. I'd drop Vyner. I'd move Roberts to he'd have to play left back, and I would go with it'd have to be McNally and Dickey and Tanner or McCory. But I'd be looking at switching to a 4, especially for the home games. Vyner would be on the bench for me.
Yeah, lots of people said drop this. Drop this three at the back. Papa says stealing a living. How about try a different formation and drop Vyner? He's been shocking for months. Chris says not a lot of good today, but Vyner and Roberts are absolutely pathetic. I'm sick of both of them. And there were lots of tweets like that, Ben. Is this criticism unfair?
I think partly it's fair, partly it's unfair. I think they've both been underperforming recently, especially Vyner. You hoped he would really carry on this year because his development the past couple of seasons before this one has been unbelievable. But then he hasn't yet. He has kind of gone backwards this year. He's really just not taken off. Roberts, he just doesn't really offer too much. He's got a mistake in him. He's definitely not a wing back, like Liam said. And I do think whenever Pring's fit, Pring always has to start because he offers something very different. So yeah, I think they're partly fair.
Okay, this was an interesting graphic. This was shown on Twitter this week. So this is Championship centre backs with their pass completion across the x-axis and aerial dual win up the vertical, and you can see Vyner there, Liam, can't you? As being the only Championship centre back. This is up to match week 29 there, who is most vulnerable in the air, and in terms of pass completion, his statistics stand out a country mile when you compare it obviously to Suter and Moore and Duffy in the opposite quadrant there. Does that surprise you, given what you've watched, or not?
Not really. I think with a lot of Vyner's passing this season, he seems to be going a lot longer. Without the options in front of him not being there, he seems to be putting the ball into the channels a lot more, which again is kicking it into dead space. He's not really picking anyone out. He's putting it into an area, trying to turn the defence, running back towards their own goal because he's got no other options to try and do it, or he doesn't feel he's capable of feeding that ball to midfield. I don't know. It's something that I hope Manning sees these sorts of statistics or the analyst team. I hope they see these sort of things because they've got to look at it. He has been so poor this year, and aerial duels, it doesn't seem to be his strongest thing for someone who's he must be 6'1" to 6'2". You'd think but he just gets bullied. I don't understand how he's a big lad. I don't understand how, especially at this standard, the standard he's playing at, he shouldn't be being bullied in the air by people that are 2 or 3 inches shorter than he is.
Okay. Couple more on this before we move on. Ben, Matt says this obsession with the back three needs to effing end. Sykes is a winger. Roberts is a centre half. You cannot expect Wu to impact any game 35 yards further back than he wants to be. Also, separately, just because a player is from the academy doesn't mean they're good enough. What's your thoughts on all of that?
I can see the argument. I think the players we've got, when we've got everyone fit, I think a 3 isn't a bad option. I think when we're missing players such as McCrory, I think he works well in a 3. I think Campering, I do think maybe we should look at possibly changing to a 4, especially mid-game when things aren't going our way. It's the constant playing in a 3, which is the irritating thing, I think. And we have got the players flexible enough to be able to change mid-game to go to a 4. But I think Sykes offers a lot going forward for us, and I do think Sykes is in decent reign of form at the moment, and him playing wing back is not getting the best out of him. So maybe we could give a try with a 4 in the week.
You could see that from the goal today. You could see he's not defensive minded, but it's his man that he should have been marking that tapped the ball into the open net, the empty
it's
net.
Not his position at all. No.
He was flat footed. He was 10 yards behind play. So he's definitely not a wing back.
No.
All right, we'll leave the Swansea game for his side there. This was classed by H as well. Don't forget you're ever going to be forever here in the Sky Bet Championship. It has that inevitability, doesn't it, Liam? Of this is just going to fizzle out into another 12th. But having said that, you could beat Stoke and Cardiff in the next 5 days, and then we're all back on, aren't we? But do you hold much hope out for that?
Not really. Pigs might fly. Swansea were poor today, but they wanted it more than we did. Like I said, first half, I know people say we should have been 2 goals up, this, that, and that, but we need to be taking our chances. If we don't take our chances, we don't win games. it's okay having all this possession and stuff, but something's not right. To me, it stinks of. It's almost like we're fed the optimism by everyone around the club. We want to be a They keep using this Premier League club in training nonsense, but we get within a sniff of being able to push for it, and it's like we take our foot off the gas and go, "Hang on a minute, we're getting a nosebleed here. Let's stay where we're comfortable, where it's sustainable." Because I think deep down, I think for all the good Lansdowne has done for the club, I think he knows if we were to ever push on and get promoted, he'd have to spend millions to keep us up there, or to at least give us a chance of staying up. And I don't think he wants to do it. So I think personally, it's more of a whole club issue. It's not just the playing team. It's more of a mentality from the whole club. I generally think deep down they don't want us to go up, and they feed us that they do to keep everyone interested. Because if they were to come out and say, right, we don't want to really go to the Premier League, people won't come through the turnstiles.
Yeah. It's an interesting philosophy, and actually it's one I've seen on social media by some saying the club's rotten and it rots from the head, doesn't it? Which is never good. Leads us nicely onto our topic 2. Before we do that, do drop us a like. It is Valentine's week, of course, so we want to spread as much love as we possibly can this week. You can share that back with us by pressing that little like button below. Transfer window. There's only yourself and Leeds, Ben, that didn't go into it. Ben here says, if only we'd loaned out 3 players with a combined salary of a loan striker in January, we're a joke of a club. Mid-table finish is just what SL wants. We got great comms, though. And Ben, before we get your view on this, of course, this was your own tweet. Slightly strange January window, no incomings, several senior and youth players leaving on loan. He said the squad feels less heavy now, especially. And there's obvious doubts surrounding the depth, especially in the centre-back position. Were you surprised yourself then when the statement came out last week that they weren't signing anyone, or did you half expect it?
No, I was surprised. I still thought we might be able to sign someone on deadline day or final couple of days. But obviously they've been honest. They've said what they need to say, which, I mean, some of it's a bit rubbish, really. But there's clearly no money in the club. That is the bottom line of it. I think there is just no money, and Manning seems to have done what he wanted to do in terms of getting rid of some of the players in the squad, making it a little less bloated, even though I'm not sure what I think about those comments, because to me, I didn't see it as being bloated massively. I think we needed some of the players that have gone. But he clearly likes to work with a small squad, which we've got now. But obviously it's frustrating to make no signings. It's not what any fan really wants for their club. It kind of ruins the excitement, I suppose. But it was, however, important keeping hold of Sykes, for sure. That was the only probably positive move with January, was keeping hold of Sykes, because obviously there was a few offers in for him, but yeah, it wasn't the best.
Okay. All right, let's hope for more positive news then next week. Hopefully 6 points in the bag against Stoke and Cardiff. Before we move on to our next item, I do want to just shout out the club this week marked the sudden passing and the sad passing of Mike Adams, who was, of course, the founding member of the Bristol City SCT. He was a huge part of that success, and obviously his impact has been felt at the clubs. And on behalf of everyone here on Robin's Walk, all of our thoughts are with Mike's family and friends. Okay, before we go on, we need your help this week. Over the last 4 weeks, we've been making the worst ever Bristol City 11 to get us through January, and we've done it. We've got there. Here's what the team combined put together. I mean, it's a heck of a team, this. Combined of the very worst of the last 20 years, with some subs in there as well. Filip Benkovic has starred there because he appears in another team's worst 11 as well. I think it's Cardiff, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think around loan there,
yeah. So we need your help then this week. We need 2 things to finish this off. Number 1, we need a captain. So we want you to look down that list there, and of all the interesting names of players that are on that list, can you choose the worst of the worst? And drop us a comment below. As for you two, I'm going to announce that next week. Who of those needs to be heralded as the worst possible Bristol City Championship era signing. I mean, Liam, who would you go for, just out of interest?
At the start of 11, the worst of the worst for me would be Bass Savage.
Thought you might say that.
He was terrible.
Yeah. Ben, would you agree?
I think I'd agree. I think it probably has to be him.
Okay, I still can't believe we got Sean Dyche in here as the worst ever Bristol City defence. But okay, we need a manager. We need a manager to lead this rabble. Liam, who's the worst Bristol City manager for you of the last 20-25 years?
I'm gonna go straight with Steve Coppell. Took the job at the end of the season, and by August he was gone. He was there for 4 months. Claimed he'd lost the love for the game and resigned. Don't think we ever saw a league game under him, or we might have seen one at most. So, yeah, without doubt, Steve Coppell for me.
Yeah, Ben?
Yeah, I think he would probably be mine as well. Another one that I'm going to have to throw in, I think it would be a bit more controversial. I'm going to put in Dean Holden. I thought some of his decisions were questionable, to say the least. Some of our performances under him were bizarre. At times we were dreadful. At times, there's a couple of games where I thought maybe we could be okay. But he played some very strange players. I think a good few of his players are in that team. He played some strange players. We had some woeful tactics, some strange tactics. And I know it's a difficult time with COVID, but yeah, I might put Dean Holden in there.
Okay, 2 shows. Let us know, please. Pick a captain for us. Let us know in the comments. And also, who do you agree with, Liam or Ben? Great. And finally, then this week, it's the week of love, Valentine's Day. On Friday, so in respect of that, we're asking these two to briefly comment on their love affair with Bristol City. Liam, can you tell us how did you fall in love with the Robins?
So basically, Dad was in the Air Force, and his best mate from the Air Force lived in Hengrove, and he was a season ticket holder. So he used to come down quite often, and City was my first ever live game I went to. 1994, April. Lost 1-0 Tranmere. John Aldridge scored the penalty after he blatantly cheated and dived for it. And yes, I was after that. It was first game, like I said, first game live, and it just sort of burst into action from there. Really.
Yeah, you've been hooked ever since. Great stuff. Yeah. Ben, what about you?
Mine's honestly much more simple. It's honestly just being the biggest local team. I went along when I was younger. My mum and dad aren't local, so then we're Bristol City fans. They took me along. And yeah, I just loved it ever since. I think Port Vale was my first game when I was very young. So yeah, and just supported them ever since that, really.
Nice and simple. Good. No, none of you are like Bristol Rovers fan. No, Bristol Rovers family members, and then just rebelled. No.
Mum and Dad are Arsenal season ticket holders, so I've gone completely opposite end of the spectrum on that one.
Definitely. You could have had a nice, easy life, Liam. You could have just listened to your mum and dad.
Don't want that. I'd rather suffer every week.
All right, okay. Love them stories. Right, tell us yours in the comments. We'll read some of these out next week. How did you fall in love with Bristol City? Thanks you two for joining us this week, and we'll catch up next week on the other side of the Stoke and the Cardiff games, of course. Enjoy your trip to Cardiff, both of you, and enjoy the week that's to come. Thanks for watching.